The story begins in the quiet suburbs of Arizona, where ordinary lives were supposed to unfold peacefully, yet beneath the surface a storm of darkness was already gathering. No one suspected that the seeds of death and obsession were being planted inside the hearts of two people who believed themselves chosen by a higher power. Daybell, a self-proclaimed prophet obsessed with the end of times, and Vallow, a woman who believed she was a divine goddess, crossed paths, and the result of their union would leave a trail of blood across states and destroy entire families. At first, their connection seemed like a story of forbidden love, but it was quickly transformed into a pact with evil. They spoke of visions of zombies of spirits possessing innocent bodies of light and dark scales used to measure the worth of human souls. Those who resisted them were soon considered obstacles to be removed, and in their twisted logic, removal meant murder. The first shadow fell on Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, who sensed that something was profoundly wrong. He warned others that Lori had changed, that she threatened his life, and claimed he was taken over by a dark spirit named Ned Schneider. On the morning of July 11, 2019, Charles entered Lori's home and never came out alive. He was shot by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, in what was staged as self-defense. But investigators later saw through the thin veil and understood it as a carefully orchestrated killing. Lori's reaction was chillingly nonchalant. She went to Burger King and Walgreens as if nothing had happened, while Charles's lifeless body lay cooling on the floor. The death of Charles was only the beginning, and the darkness began to spread to the children who should have been most protected. Tylee Ryan, 16 years old, vibrant and full of life, and Joshua Jackson Vallow, known as JJ, only 7 years old, vulnerable and diagnosed with autism. On September 8, 2019, Tylee was seen alive for the last time during a family trip to Yellowstone. 2 weeks later, JJ was seen for the last time taken upstairs by Alex Cox. While houseguests stayed in Lori's home the next morning, JJ was simply gone. When family members asked about the children, Lori offered shifting excuses, lies about JJ being with friends, lies about Tylee attending school, lies that unraveled as police began to dig deeper. But instead of cooperating, Lori and Chad fled to Hawaii, smiling in wedding photos only days after the suspicious death of Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell. Tammy had died in her bed, apparently from natural causes, but her body was later exhumed and revealed to have been asphyxiated. Her death ruled a homicide. The chain of deaths grew longer. Charles Vallow, Tylee, Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Tammy Daybell. 4 lives erased in less than 4 months. Behind each act, investigators found the same motives: money, in the form of insurance payouts and stolen Social Security benefits; lust, in the form of an affair masked by religious visions; and power, in the form of controlling a group of devoted followers. The cult that Lori and Chad formed was built on strange doctrines, visions of past lives and prophecies of apocalypse set to arrive in July 2020. They claimed to be leaders of the 144,000 chosen to survive. They invented rituals of casting out spirits, branding loved ones as zombies who could only be freed through death. Even children were not spared from these beliefs, and soon investigators would uncover the horrific truth of what happened to them. As the mystery of the missing children dominated national media, Lori and Chad stayed silent. Their cold smiles broadcast across television while grandparents begged for answers and siblings cried out for the truth. In June 2020, investigators finally searched Chad Daybell's Idaho property. What they unearthed would shatter the world. In a shallow grave near a pond, they found the small body of JJ Vallow, wrapped in plastic duct tape, binding his face and mouth, asphyxiated in unimaginable fear. Not far away in the so-called pet cemetery, they discovered the burned and dismembered remains of Tylee Ryan, her hands cut off, her body destroyed in fire, leaving investigators to conclude she had been brutally mutilated in an attempt to erase her identity. The truth was undeniable. The children had been murdered and buried like disposable objects on the property of the man who claimed to speak with angels. At this point, let me pause and tell you something important. If you are captivated by this story, if you want to support the creation of more investigations like this, take a second to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. It truly gives power to our work and helps us bring more of these haunting stories to light. Also, do not forget to check the link in the description where we share updates and exclusive content related to the channel. Now back to the unfolding nightmare. Because the story does not stop with the children, it spirals further into layers of deception and delusion. Investigators traced cell phone data of Alex Cox to the very spots where the bodies were buried, proving he was present during those nights of horror. Text messages between Lori and Chad spoke casually of orchestrated plans of zombies and coded language that masked murder in prophetic terms. Tammy's death, too, was framed as destiny. Chad collected more than $400,000 in life insurance, smiling at his new bride only weeks after Tammy was in the grave. Lori and Chad's arrogance was breathtaking. They believed themselves untouchable. That divine mission placed them above earthly law. But law has a long memory and justice waits patiently. The trials began with the world watching. Lori first in 2023 found guilty of all charges, sentenced to life without parole. Her face cold as the verdict was read. Chad followed in 2024, found guilty as well, sentenced to death, his apocalyptic visions shattered by the stark finality of human justice. Yet even in prison, Lori remained defiant, claiming to hear from Jesus himself, insisting her children were not murdered, but happy in heaven, spinning delusion until the very end. Her own surviving son, Colby Ryan, called her deceived beyond repair, the last voice of family standing against the fog of her madness. The case of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell is more than a story of murder. It is a story of how belief can twist into weapon, how religious fanaticism mixed with desire can breed unthinkable evil. Neighbors saw warning signs, dismissed them as eccentric faith family members, heard prophecies, ignored them as spiritual wanderings. But behind the curtain, a death list was being written with names of loved ones. The tragedy forces us to reflect on how far people will go when blinded by visions of power. How fragile the line is between spiritual devotion and catastrophic delusion. For the children, Tylee and JJ, their laughter stolen, their futures erased. We are left only with grief and the echo of what might have been for Charles Vallow. Betrayed by the woman he once called his wife, his warnings proved prophetic, yet ignored. Until too late for Tammy Daybell, robbed of breath by the man she trusted, her memory remains a reminder of hidden danger behind smiling faces. And for all of us, the story is a mirror reflecting how belief, when twisted and unchecked, can justify any crime. Remember this as you close your eyes tonight, that monsters do not always appear in shadows. Sometimes they wear the faces of loving parents, devoted spouses, friendly neighbors, and prophets of light who hide a darkness deeper than the night itself. This story is not simply about murder. It is about the human soul and how easily it can be lost. The revelations have ended, but the haunting continues. And as you take a breath and prepare to leave, remember that the next story may already be unfolding in the house across the street or in the family next door. Stay vigilant, stay aware, and return for the next descent into the abyss, where truth is darker than any fiction.